Good afternoon, VV Nation. Happy Friday, or at least trying to be a happy Friday, right? If you can hear me, if you can see me, put a VV in the comment section. This is the first time that me and Clay has done the dual cast with both the community room and YouTube. Normally we got Joey in the background. He's off, but I see some VVs in the comment section, so good job, Clay. We did it right. Joey would be proud of us. I think he's down at the beach, if I remember correctly. All right, everybody. The alert just hit. I see the views ticking on up. Welcome to the Stock Analysis Power Hour. First day of August. Not looking like it to be a very good month for the market, is it? I see the Dow Jones picking up momentum to the downside, down 637 right now. Oh, okay, so that's why. So if you're curious why there's not a red light in the price column today, interesting. I wonder if the VectorVest 7 software is really trying to tell us something for next week. Is this like a little fakey or something? Because the green light, you can't go from a green directly to a red in a 5-day period. So if you look back and you see a green light here, you can't go from a green to a red. And the same, you can't go from a red to a green. So 5 days from July 31st, doesn't matter how much momentum the bulls pick up, there will not be a green light in any of these categories 5 days from yesterday. So I do find that pretty interesting here. It's kind of a way to detect volatility per se. But if I scroll down, might be another example of it here. No, we haven't had any red lights. One, two. This one right here, actually, this RT, this 102 here, lower than yesterday, lower than 5. Well, it's still above 1 though. So no recent examples. This would be the one though. But yeah, we can't get a red light. Doesn't matter if the market can go down another 1,000 points. It's still going to be yellow. Still going to be yellow. But yeah, that's if you're new, if you didn't know that about the color guard, that is a color guard. So if you ever see a gap or you ever see something that doesn't make sense, as far as the color patterns, it's probably because it's playing off that 5-day period. So you see RT, BSR, no green lights. So because they're lower from the prior day, lower from 5 days ago, and both are now below 1, so unfavorable territory, red lights can be given. All right. So we all know the market's not having its best day today, right? We see the MTI 1.03. The BSR and the RT have dropped below 1 now. So we do see overall signs of market weakness. Will you guys have a special sale on VectorVest software during Labor Day weekend? My 99 subscription is running out. We typically do, but you can only have so many trials in a 12-month period. That is something you'd have to discuss billing. I don't know the exact details of that, but you can only have so many trials in a 12-month period. Rocks are. But I will say, the market does pull back, and you're watching some of these live streams, you see that MTI, who knows what's going to happen, but if it does get back down to 0.6 levels, it's usually a good time to start a trial to the software, because shortly after, it's usually when there might be some kind of blast off or bottom fishing opportunities. All right, everybody. If we look at Midas Touch here, all moving the other direction here. American Semiconductor, which was the big winner yesterday, it was up well over 20%, down over 5% today. NVIDIA down 3% here. If we take a look at top RT industries, only one in positive, food and candy. Hey, market's not giving up on the candy businesses, that's for sure. And as far as RT sectors, other than building, which is positive today, a lot of these sectors have lost over 1% of momentum. The one that's lost the least is aerospace and defense. I don't know if I quite would give up on aerospace and defense yet. If you want to shave a little bit of profits, especially if you're in like a triple leverage ETF, something like DFIN, you don't want all your profits to go away. Maybe trimming some. Again, look at the chart. And as well, this is Power Hour, so we can take a look at that as well. And speaking of that, it's 204. Let's see. I wonder if I could break a record today. We're going to see how many stocks we can get. Let's see if I can break a record, how many stocks we can do. All right, I already got SMCI. Boom. SMCI is there. All right, while you type in those symbols, I'm just going to read these comments here. Oh, trust me, I know the value of VectorVest. I'm loving it. That's why I'm trying to get in, just not for $100. Well, we do have the mobile app. We've got intraday data, end of day data. So there are some other cheaper level subscriptions there. Expecting VectorVest to drop another couple points next week before possibly rebounding unless some incredibly good news comes out. Hopefully that good news is from AMD. I don't know. But I would think the news is probably more tariff-related kind of thing. See here, TSM. Someone said, where is Glenn MD? I'm not sure where you've been, but we've talked about it a lot on the channel. Back in June, he had a stroke. There is a website, VectorVest.com/Glenn. He's in rehabilitation right now. He's recovering, regaining his strength. I don't know when he's going to come back, to be honest. I've heard rumors that he's fired, he left. No, none of that stuff. He didn't leave. We just, day to day, depending on, his medical condition. But send him prayers. Or if you do want to help financially, because we got a huge amount of interest from VV Nation on see how they can help. So we worked with his family, set up a GoFundMe account. Just go to VectorVest.com/Glenn. You'll see all the information there. An updated statement as well if you do want to help him and his family. Because I know his wife's got a lot going on right now. Work, kids, and then now being the caregiver there. All right, we got V, TSM, MSTY, Monster. Oh, God, that is Yield Max, MSTY. That is volatility. God, if you didn't want enough volatility, let's just add a Yield Max to Bitcoin. MSTY. Oh, it's already added. Okay, MSTY. All right, KOLD, Axon, APLD, Meta. Pan, WBE, LVS. Thank you for those warm wishes for Glenn, by the way, in the comment section. ADMA, SMCY. All these yield maxes. SLQ. When it comes to these yield maxes, look at the dividend paid or X date and pay date, right? If the X date has already happened, you just gotta ask yourself if you want to hold on to it, right? Because I know most of the strategy, or a large part of the strategy with those yields, is going to be from the dividend side of things, because they're designed to generate yield. TSLQ, IBIT, IBIT, SGHC, WLDN. All right, put these in. That leaves me with VRT. What do we got here? Ooh. I did put in IBIT already. I like IBIT. I sell premium on those every month. John, and if I was a long-term Bitcoin enthusiast, again, me, the best time to buy is typically when everyone's talking crap about Bitcoin. But selling calls, find an ETF that is, got at least some heavy option volume. Just sell calls against it. Out of the money calls. Lower that dollar cost average on your Bitcoin, right? That would be my strategy. I do like the idea of selling premiums against Bitcoin, and it's Bitcoin, so it's volatile. So most likely in a lot of those ETFs, you are collecting a pretty good premium, I'd imagine. TOST. Iron Condors, same kind of thing. See your VRT, IBIT, DFIN. We got there. We got Wilden. We got RCAT at Toast. AMSC. That's American Super. I want to say look at UAMY just because there's someone asked about it earlier. Coin drop. I thought it was down like 16%. Ooh. I would be trimming profits on coin and hood, especially those interest rates not getting cut. I don't know about closing out the whole position, but both stocks have had a great run recently. Coinbase, we'll have to take a look at it and see. If you didn't sell before today's big drop, maybe manage it from there. We'll take a look at it here. Let's see, what are the big losers today? Big winners, TSL short 4%, so that means Tesla must be down 8%. Ooh. And if we go down, Coinbase down 17%. Look at this. We value the company at 135. Right now it's 311. And you are trading a premium on this. RV's above 1. RS, not a lot of safety. A lot of stuff. Maria Fing, how are things up in Maine? I was at Lake Ossipee over the weekend. Maine would be beautiful to go to. I've never been to Maine. I've been to, well, at least the Northeast, as far as north as like Vermont, Connecticut, New Hampshire. I went skiing, got to see Boston a little bit here. All right. Now that we've got all the YouTube picks, I'm going over to the community room here. Mod, ABBV, Tigo. Any other picks from the VectorVest community room here? What sector would you short now? We can take a look at some sectors, Shia, if we have some time. So we got TIGO. Ryan, we had to get you to the Sam Adams tap room in Boston. Oh, John, I've been to the tap room in Boston. We got Micron here. We got ACGL, Micron. And let me tell you, that was a good time. That was a good time, actually. That was many, many years ago. And my sister in the wine business had a connection there. So we got like the VIP back door. I got to try, their Euphoric or Utopia beer. That's pretty much like a liquor. That's beer. It's like really strong beer. It's like the strongest beer in the world. But they only release it like every couple years. So we got like literally like half a shot of it. And it just tasted like moonshine almost, but it was beer. Pretty strong. But they had a lot of crazy beers. My stomach was pretty upset after that. Not gonna lie. You know, even just, you know, those little samples. There's so many different kinds of beers upset your stomach. All right, we got Meta. All right, I'm going to put these in here. ACGL. And then Amazon. Amazon's down big right now. Let's add these. How many are we at? Ooh, 33. We already broke the record. I'm putting in Amazon. AMD. Tonight, last night's video is on AMD. Tonight's video is what you want to watch on AMD. You got the best analysis. I called it last night. Retested the upper end of that channel. I did 2 day trades on AMD, up 42% since yesterday with a couple $100 I decided to play with. So watch that. There's a lot of good insight on AMD tonight. There's a lot of other good sight as far as market timing and some contra. So it's kind of like a twofer video. You get market timing, get a little defensive nature, and then you got some AMD information as well. Any suggestion for dealing with after-hour drops where stop orders aren't triggered? Yeah, I mean, as far as after hours, it really depends on your broker. That's something for the brokerage. You know, if something's really triggered, it could be earnings or something. But yeah, that's gonna be more of a brokerage thing. Some brokerages let you do stops after hours, Michael. I'm pretty sure my Webull, I can do stops after hours or extended hours stops kind of thing. I got coin on there. All right, this will be the last one. ASMH from the community room here. Boom. All right, we got Mod, ABBV, Tigo. Yep, all those are here. All right, let's take a look at it here. We got some big movers to the downside. And wow, we got to expand this out even more here. We're going to go top 40. 35 stocks. We've got 45 minutes. Schwab doesn't got burned hard on CFLT the other day. Was it earnings? Because a lot of times with earnings, those gap downs, they will go right through stops. They got to go right through stops. I use Thinkorswim and TD Ameritrade, but once Schwab bottom out, I was using that in Robinhood, but now honestly, earning, a lot of that stuff you really can't prevent, those big gap downs, depending on when it happens. But contact or just Google it. Is there any brokerages that can you put stops in, and after hour trading, extended hours, right? I would just Google it and see what brokerages pop up and go from there. I don't really hold a lot of stocks during earnings. I'm more of a day trader. I've got my 401k kind of stuff, but I don't really mess with that a whole lot. More just day trading. I don't really have that issue. But yeah, I would just Google it, see what brokerages pop up for you, Michael. All right, I went to buy more AMD, but earnings coming. Ooh, AMD, I like it. Watch tonight's video. Yeah, Troy, earnings could go either way, right? And I'm not going to really guess this time either way. It could go either way. I have a feeling it's going to beat, but if anything goes with guidance or if they find out There's backdoors and NVIDIA's chips. Well, China's probably going to stop AMD's chips too, right? So if that news breaks, if any kind of news of that sort, I know they're investigating it now, the Chinese military. If you're in it, you've probably got a good cushion zone in AMD already. The one thing I do like today, it's retesting the top end of that channel. But tonight's video is going to go in a little bit more specifics of AMD here. All right, we got Tesla 2 times short. That is the most positive. So it looks like bearish strategies are working. The only thing upside today, we got Tigo, International Cellular, we got Arch Capital, Biogix, AbbVie, and then shorting natural gas here. So everything else in the red. So you can see where the sentiment of the market is today. Earnings these days, even if good drop. Earnings, it can go either way. I've seen companies beat earnings and then, forward guidance was good, so the stock gapped up. And I've seen it opposite and the stock did the same exact thing. So again, I don't really trade earnings like that just because it's a guessing game. But if you're scared of holding AMD, especially if you're swing trading, I'd be more nervous, right? Because the whole point was ride it up during this, upswing and momentum, right? If you're more of an investor, no, it's probably not going to, wouldn't be too worried about it, right? But if you're more of a trader, I don't know how many shares you have, but if you have some, you can do an option strategy. Or if you don't have enough shares for that, maybe shed some, protect some of those profits going into it, right? Those are just different things you can consider. True, but sometimes EPS good, but if you dig to the later pages, you see bad things. Yeah. Like Microsoft and Amazon, a lot of the focus was their cloud growth business, right? If you look at like Meta or Netflix, they look at, was it user growth, things of that nature. So there's different metrics to look at other than just earnings that can cause the stock to jump either way. That's, again, why I don't really try to play earnings too much. All right, let's jump in here. This is Tesla short. We're going to do sales growth rate, value. I know it's not going to work on this because it's the ETF, but it'll work on the others. Tesla Q, moving averages. Fresh crossover. You can see each time above the 20-day EMA, pretty short-lived, right? So right now, let's see here. And it broke its trend line. This might have a little bit more oomph in it. Just a heads up. It just broke that trend line there. This is actually a good one I like. So I'm not asking of things to short. Shorting Tesla doesn't seem like the worst idea right now. It's probably a lot worse ideas on a Friday, right? But yeah, that looks pretty good setup. Here's AbbVie. This thing's just been moving to the side, not doing a whole lot, nothing. You can see it right here. Boom. See, I'm not going to get too crazy, but price action likes to be above that 20-day EMA for the most part here. Rejection here, but we're going right back up. So let's see if we can break that. I'm not going to get too excited right now. We're at 196. Confirmations, literally like, what, $2 away, 198 and some change. That's a $200 stock. I'd give up $2 for some confirmation. If you're in it, probably wouldn't go much way either way right now. Unless it breaks, if it starts heading back down to 182, obviously see the channel, see the breakout. But it looks like we're going to want to get a breakout here. Fundamentally, growth rate on the rise, earnings on the rise, value on the rise, I like this company. I'm not going to lie at all. As long as the market doesn't ruin the party for this company, this is a drug company, this might actually break out to the upside. I'm more optimistic on this position here. But again, it's just the market's what I would be more nervous about. Here's ADMA. Nice. Look at this. Broke the 20-day EMA, right? Came back. Nice retest to a full body candlestick today, trading at session highs. This is another one I like. These drug companies here showing some opportunities. I might have to do, I don't think I've done one drug stock video. It's just not something I really talk about. Maybe I should do one next week. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll do some hot drug companies because I'm seeing at least some momentum here in this space. Stocks undervalued, right? It's a drug company. It's already, be volatile in nature. Let's take a look at a bigger picture here. Maybe just draw a freehand line. I wonder if it broke like that other position. Nope. That's be about $20, right? Or about 75 cents away from that. See what happens there. I'm not going to guess, but if we get rejection like this time, hey, I probably could take some profits because when we got rejection, we started hitting new lows, right? So be careful. But yeah, I think it's got a little bit more upside potential. But you know, the big question is what's going to happen about 75 cents from now. All right. All righty. But yeah, the company, I mean, the growth rate earnings is faltering. So about 40 on both categories, 46, 40, rising earnings. If it breaks above that trend line here, this thing really might start picking up some momentum. I mean, we valued over $30 right now too. So you're definitely getting a fair deal there. We lost the sell rating, transitioning to a hold. I like it. I'm not going to lie. 2 drug companies in a row. Arch Capital, value on the decline. Price action lower than it was 6 months ago. Nope. No whole lot of nothing here. A whole lot of nothing. Growth rate on the decline. Sales growth rate on the decline. EPS on the decline. Nope. Please tell me something that convinced me to get into this position. I just don't see it here. I don't see it. You know, if the value wasn't declining, like even if it was just stagnant, but look, the investors, they've lost enthusiasm. The value of the company is also losing in value, right? Growth rate earnings dropping. Yeah. The only thing I like here, maybe earnings per share, you're getting a little bit more earnings per share for your troubles compared to where you were, you know, about a year or 6 months ago. But overall, no, I don't see it. If I do see any momentum pick up, I can already tell you it's probably going to be this descending channel we're in. I don't know if you guys saw that. So I'm not going to get bullish in a descending channel, right? That's like AMD and NVIDIA. Remember when they were in their descending channel for a while? If you held through that, golly, that was rough if you held through that one. I mean, AMD was just coming from the 200s all the way down to, what, $86 or something? NVIDIA was coming from the 160s down to, what, $85, $90 as well in that descending channel. I don't know when this descending channel is going to end, so I'm not going to jump in the party like this. You know, I'm going to wait for, you know, get above this trend line here to really get excited, all right? But otherwise, the value's on decline. I like the other 2 drug companies better, I'll be honest. Cold. This is natural gas. This is shorting natural gas. The 3's above the 8. I mean, natural gas is typically a very short-term trade, you know, very volatile in nature here. What I do like, see these little bottom wicks here showing buying pressure right at the 8-day EMA? I like getting in that 8-day EMA. As long as the 3's above the 8, hey, I'd rock and roll with it. But again, this is not something I'd hold for a long time. This is, you know, swing trading material here. I'm not even going to worry about this 20-day EMA because the trade's going to be way over by then. But as long as these moving averages are above that 20-day EMA, 3's above the 8, I like it right now. I'd stick to the 3 and 8 here. Maybe even star search, something like that. See how that works on the chart. But I'm really not a big fan of natural gas. It's very choppy. You know, very choppy. Here's TIGO. Milcom, International Sell. I mean, this is my chart pattern. I should do a video on this. Look, value on the rise, price action on the rise, undervalued, strong buy rating. I don't even see a sell in sight. There's not a sell in sight. Not the best forecasted data. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Growth rate and earnings, I like it. 27% is faltering though. Sales growth rate negative. Earnings per share is on the rise. So it's not the best. But right now, we've noticed 1 touch, 2 touches, 3. We'll call this 4, 5, and now 6, right? It likes a 20-day EMA. Every time price action comes back to this 20-day EMA, seems to create a good opportunity, right? And if I zoom in, we got a 1 month. The 3, they're the same right now. Maybe get a little bit more confirmation. Let's take out today's high. But if so, again, we're getting a pivot off that 20-day EMA and an uptrending stock. I like it. This might actually be a decent trade setup here. And it's just I like that pattern. Value on the rise. I like it. And it's bouncing off the 20-day EMA. Forecasted data is not spectacular, but the rest of it looks good. Palo Alto, sell rating. Let's see. This is where I'd like to find support here. You can see touch from here, touch, breakthrough, and now we're retesting it finally. This is the first retest of this level, actually, since the most recent breakthrough. I mean, the price action is below the 3-day, and there's a lot of momentum to the downside. You know, if I don't get a nice pivot on this level right here, I mean, you could probably go down maybe to even here. Probably 160. Right now we're at 173. Actually, yeah, I like this one better. If this breaks, I'm looking at 160 because you got some touches here, touches. I got a lot of levels of support there. But this is, I might even want to call it a zone. That's a pretty big zone. But yeah, it looks like we're touching the first level support now. That's why we're getting a little bit, you know, maybe the beginning of a pivot. We'll see. Still way too early to pull any triggers. As far as anything, I'd be getting a little bit more defensive than anything right now. If it does break through this, you know, drop into 160, not out of the question. The stock's overvalued. We got falling growth rate and earnings. Earnings per share is ticking up. Growth rate, sales growth rate, 14, 15%. Not bad numbers at all. Rising earnings, but yeah, just a lot of momentum to the downside. See if we can catch it there. Here is Las Vegas Sands. Value on the decline, and actually price is lower than it was too. But now the stock is overvalued. Again, I'm going to stick to the 20-day EMA here. Growth rate's negative. Sales growth rate 15%. Earnings per share. Hey, you know, it's not. I'm not, as far as like an investment, I'm not sold on it. But as far as a swing trade, I can dig it. Right now, it's overextended. This is where I'd put my stop right here. So if it breaks much below $50, it's going to hit that 20-day EMA. We'll maybe make it a zone. Let's see here. What is this? About 49, 50, about, yeah, 50 to about $50.50. That would be my zone. Better find level support there. Otherwise, you know, I don't want you to give up all these gains. I don't know where you bought in here, but the stock's been moving. $30 to 52 now. But I mean, nothing really looks that spectacular though from an investment perspective. Here's Viva Systems, lower left, upper right price action. Value also trying to keep up here on the rise. The stock is overvalued, but I do like value at least rising with it. It's showing some weakness here. We got a huge gap to fill here. So be careful because that gap fill is going to start around 266 and it goes all the way till 239. It looks like 240 range. If we do find a level of support, maybe in here, maybe here, but I'm seeing more downside inclination than anything. Let's go. You see the moving average crossovers. Protect those profits. Taking some off the table. You know, we've had a huge channel here after this gap up. You know, if you held through, if you bought it before the gap up and you've been waiting to see if you can get a couple extra bucks out of it, well, it's now been, what, 2 months and no maybe a little bit, couple extra bucks, but not much. It's been channeling for the most part. So, kind of giving up on that one, at least for the time being. Here we got Wilden Group. This looks good. Lower left, upper right. Look, see how there's no touches on the 20-day EMA at all? But look at this one. I don't know if you guys bought the dip this morning. I ain't going to be mad at it. I'm not going to be mad at it at all. This has been a very mentioned stock within the VectorVest 7 software. I think it's in one of the top Midas Touch plays right now. If we go to 6 months, yeah, look at that. That thing is rocking and rolling. You were getting some value opportunities here. The value opportunity that is on the overvalued side now, 84. We valued at 70. Forecasted data looks good. Earnings per share on the rise. Yeah, if you got into this wick here close to that 20-day EMA, hey, kudos to you. That was nice. I like it. SGHC, nice retest here. Finding support, but look, we're clearly breaking it now. Actually got a retest rejection with this upper wick here. Any concerns with entering WLDN trend so late? It'd be like any stock, not just WLDN. I'd be more concerned again with the market. But that bottom wick, I do like. Now it's $84, right? If you were thinking about getting into this one, a 20-day EMA is around 78. I'd put a tight stop on it, maybe like 77. Just give a little bit of wiggle room. 84 to 77 was that $7? $84 stock. Maybe 10%. It's a pretty decent stop. If you want confirmation, take out today's high or wait till Monday, right? It's the weekend, right? There's a lot of news that can come out over the weekend. Why rush it? If again, the wick was the opportunity. Right now, we've exceeded that. I'd probably wait till Monday. But it does look like a good trade setup. Here's SGHC. Undervalued. I like it. Again, just losing that momentum now below the 20-day EMA. Moving average is not there. Protect some profits. If this wick right here, look, I'm going to guess, but I imagine it's going to touch this line or at least get close to it. All these stocks, even, oh, no, not quite. And this might go down a little bit more. Where is this line at? Is there something back here? Ah, there is something back here. That's where you're coming from. Interesting. Okay, I like it. So when the lines don't make sense, I just had a feeling something back there was triggering that. Something was triggering this buying pressure today. So we might get it here. We might get it. All right. Here's BE, Bloom Energy. A lot of buying pressure around that 8-day. You can see, look at that. A lot of these stocks today are, moving higher from that low, from that gap down. A lot of them are filling the gap here. It is overvalued. Again, extended from the 20-day EMA, so I don't know if I'm not going to be a buyer right now. If you're in it and you didn't sell this morning, probably wouldn't be in a rush to do it right now. Growth rate and earnings on the rise, 39%, both categories, rising earnings. Hey, I like it. Not a bad play. FTAI is an aviation company here, undervalued. Price action and value really just kind of moving sideways here, not exactly what we'd like to see. I do like this bottom wick here, the body remaining above this 3-day moving average. Interesting. If we do get some resistance here, let's see if we can get back. Oh, yeah, right here. That's probably where it's trying to catch support. It's probably trying to get back above. This is the first down day test since we went long. I don't think we are just going to turn and crash, but the heck so I know. What the heck so I know. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't go out there and just start selling every stock you got or, buying a bunch of contras. But, if you tiptoed in a couple, if you took some profits, a little bit of profits here and there, I can't be mad at it. Am I going to be in a rush to go out and buy stocks today? Unless I see something, multiple reasons that the chart is giving me like, hey, this is a good opportunity, probably not in a rush to buy, right? Because, again, the MTI likes to go from 0.6 to 1.5. That was the rally. That was a big rally. We hit the 1.5, 1.6 mark. Now we're coming back down, right? We're at 1. So what has VectorVest told us before? And it showed us this many times that the MTI likes to get up to 0.6. Now, I'm not saying it's going to go right to 0.6, but the trend is working its way down there right now. No choice whether to sell or not. More than half hit my stops. Okay, Michael. Hey, as long as they hit, but did they hit your stops with a profit, right? Did they? Well, at least hopefully, did a lot of them hit their stops with a profit? Because if they did, at least you ain't got no stresses, right? Because again, if you don't take profit, it's not a profit until you take it, right? You might say you're up, 40, 60% some of these stocks, but if you're still holding it, then, you're still in it. So again, taking profits when the MTI is high, which we just were, and now we're pulling back, right? The only optimism I have is a little bit of support on this VectorVest level. Some, yes, use trailing stops. More recent buys, no. And that is honestly not surprising. Yeah, if you had recent stock, if you bought them the last week or two, yeah, you're probably mitigating risk, which is okay. If you bought stocks more towards the beginning of our DEW up signals, more towards the beginning of some of our market timing signals coming off the bottom, you're probably definitely in some profits. Let's see here. That's FTA, ASTS. I mean, look at this. It's just nice pivot. Let's see if we get it. We don't have the pivot yet. Looks like it's looking for support. Let's wait for the pivot. If so, this might just take off again. This is ASTS. And let's take out, what's this high? 55.78. Today's high is 54, 50. Yeah, I'd like to take out this high right here for some confirmation. If we could take this out, that means the 3 is probably back above the 8 as well. I usually trail a 2 ATR. Is that about right or too close far? Depends on your strategy. It's not out of the realm by any means. It really just depends what you're comfortable with, you know. And obviously you want to tailor it with the stock. So using an average true range, you're already in the right direction, because a lot of people put tight, you know, they might use a generic stop on all of their stocks, right? So if you use 10% on Microsoft, might not work the same way as you use 10% on like a semiconductor, which could be volatile, or a drug company, right? So again, the ATR, you're in the right direction, Michael. You're in the right direction. Here's Van Eck Semiconductor. Ooh. This isn't a good sign, because this is a semiconductor ETF. Look, we got our retest here on 20-day retest up. But now look at it. Drop below the 20-day EMA. I have a lot of questions. Appreciate the answers. No, most certainly, Michael. It's just showing weakness right now. Again, you know, I know no one's got no crystal ball. It all comes down to, you know, are you happy with where you're at right now? Is holding worth the risk, right? Right now, I'm seeing weakness. I see the 3 cross below the 8, below the 20-day. You know, and let's just use the DEW, for example, because that's, you know, the signal that might go down today. Like the DEW here was up. The stock that day, just, you know, let's just say, you know, the next day. Wait for confirmation. Oh, and it's broke above the 20-day. This has probably been a great confirmation day. Closes at 208. Right now, it's 283. You're up almost 50% since April in this position, right? Protect some profit. That's what I'm saying. You guys are giving me a lot of stocks that are rocking and rolling. Now, yeah, if you bought up here when the MTI was high, you know, again, that's, you know, not saying it can't work, but it's usually not, you know, the best opportunities are coming off the market bottoms. If we use the primary wave, there's the chop. Since this choppiness here, you know, we really haven't had much momentum to the upside. But yeah, I mean, the stock, again, up 50%. A lot of your stocks are like this. So when you first buy stocks, you ask yourself, you know, what's your profit objective? You know, what's realistic? You know, 30, 40, 50% profit objective when you get in closer to a market bottom, it's pretty realistic, right? But if you wait to buy up here, you know, when the MTI and all this stuff, and the market's been ripping and roaring at brand new highs, that upside potential is now becoming diminished. And that's what the MTI has shown us here, right? The upside potential is being diminished here. And downside risk is increasing. Now, here's IBIT. Now, IBIT could be pretty volatile. We've seen some breaks in the 20-day before, pretty short-lived. I'm not too concerned by it. I'd like to see some support here. Maybe treat it like a zone in here. If it breaks much past this, hey, you know, but again, you know, I don't know if you're a long-term Bitcoin holder, if you're just trying to swing trade it, but this was around $45 at its low. Now it's at 64. So that's about what, 30% here. Here's Palantir. Palantir still in the ascending channel. There's the rejection from the top end of the channel. Actually pretty close to it. High of yesterday on Palantir. Finding support on that 20-day EMA. It's still in the ascending channel, so I'm not going to worry too much about Palantir right now. Here's DFIN. DFIN, we broke the trend line, started retesting it from the bottom. That's cool. No problem. But now we failed to retest it here, right? So now we're coming back. We're showing weakness. This is actually the first, you know, even wig. It's not break in the 20-day EMA that we've had quite some time here. It looks like back since April, right? So if you're holding DFIN, again, just be careful. We're starting to see signs of weakness. I'm not saying going out there and run out and sell all of your DFIN, but you know, if you want to get fancy with some option strategies or, you know, trim some profits, hey, you know, those are questions you got to ask yourself and, you know, assess where you're at in your, you know, your investment journey here. We're all in different places. But again, seeing a little bit of weakness, or you could look at it, you know, half glass full, right? Look at it as a buying opportunity, right? If you're, you know, trying to get on another dip on DFIN, this is the dip, right? Right at that 20-day EMA. Just stay disciplined. If it goes back below the 20-day EMA, shut it out as, you know, as a tight loss, right? Hey, it is what it is. So yeah, you can look at it both ways, either showing weakness or the buy the dip mentality right now. If you buy the dip, the only time I ever advise buying a dip is uptrending stock right? You see it's uptrending above the 20-day EMA. The dip's right on the 20, but you just got to be disciplined, right? Because if the market rolls over, this starts rolling over some more, you don't want to just ride it down and down and down. No. All right, here we got RCAT, Red Cat Holdings. This looks like it's going to fill the gap. If I just use a horizontal line, there's the beginning of the gap. Oh, we're right there. Looks, but I might be tempted. I wouldn't be surprised if it did. The gap's around $7 here on the bottom end. Or, yeah, about $6.90 maybe there. But, yeah, I'm not going to be bullish on this at all. At all. As far as it's overvalued, growth rate, sales growth rate, -74. I'm sorry, but this is semiconductor space here. We talk about it a lot. There are way too many good semiconductors. I'm not just talking about AMD. There's plenty of other ones, but this is not the one. Not the one for me. Earnings per share is declining, sales growth rate declining. If there weren't so many other great stocks in the semiconductor space, this is not the one. And we just saw VanEck too break below that 20-day EMA, and this stock not giving great performance in general. Actually, if I train my little eyes here, freehand line might be the buying opportunity, actually. No, let me move that out of the way. There's the channel. Broke above the channel, now down. I want to say a buying opportunity. It might break that channel altogether here. But yeah, still again, not here for it, and the semiconductors are losing momentum right now. Axon, look at this. So, test it, top, and now we're testing it from the bottom, right? So you see my little zone here is trying to catch it as a level support. If it breaks this by much, I'm getting out of it. But right now, I'm not all willy-nilly bullish on it. That's for sure. I was looking at SSG this morning, Contra Semiconductor. We'll see Monday. I got stopped. Troy says I got stopped out of some stocks this morning at the open. We'll see. Hey, that's what the stops are for, right? We can't help a gap down situation, but that's what the stops are for. The Contra Semiconductor play. We just were looking at the VanEck one, Troy, and you might be on to something there. Maybe we'll see what AMD does. I mean, that's the wild card when it comes to any kind of, because if AMD comes out with crazy stuff next week and, skyrockets, any kind of semiconductor short, is going to get blown out of the water, right? That's interesting. See here, we got Modine Manufacturing Company, value on the rise, price action on the rise. So from an investment perspective, look, even earnings on the rise, positive forecasted data, not a bad stock here. Yes, it's overextended now. Am I going to say keep buying it right now? No, it's hard to say that. If I had to guess, we'll probably see some tighter. You see this shaping up? This will probably shape up to be a pennant, if I had to guess, going forward. And maybe another candlestick or two, and we'll see where a breakout is. See what the breakout is on this, right? See if that pennant comes to formation. See where the breakout is. Act accordingly to that breakout. Here is Hood. Hood hasn't been below its 20-day EMA in a while, and it's down there today. I had this little line here, apparently, at 93.5. Where was this line from? I guess. Oh, this the top end of this candlestick here. Oh, and the doji line. That's why. But look, that line came in handy. That would have been a great opportunity. It was around $93 here, trading at 100. Again, a lot of these stocks just found really good levels of support, and the dip buyers came right in immediately. Have you noticed that in a lot of these stocks? So, again, tonight's video, the Contra ETF video, I even mentioned it because I saw a lot of these upper wicks. I saw the support in the VectorVest composite. Look for confirmation. And, definitely check out that video tonight. It's going to give a little bit more insight here. Here we've got TSM. Oh, no. That's not good for semis. TSM, the monster of them all, the manufacturing giant behind the AI revolution, TSM broke the ascending channel, trying to find some ground at the 20-day EMA right now. I don't know what your objectives were if you're holding TSM, but if you're a swing trader, if you're thinking about profit taking, shedding some right now, I wouldn't be mad at it. Would not be mad at it. Growth rate 25%, sales growth rate 45%. I like that number rising. I mean, the company, as far as an investment, I'm still going to rock with it. I mean, it's great. Value on the rise, price action on the rise. If we get a pullback, where is this? Oh, no. I don't know, because that's the retest from it. But this low is lower than that low. That low is lower than that one. Again, yeah, I'm of the mindset. Be careful of TSM, Taiwan Semi right now. That's interesting. And Troy, that's really only going to back up your decision of looking at SSG this morning, that Contra semiconductor. Interesting. I might throw an NVIDIA on this list if it's not already. I'm curious what it's doing. Here's Meta. Okay, nice retest. Gap up on Meta. We're fading the gap right now. Still undervalued. I like Meta. Yeah, if you're a trader, you want to shed some profits because it might be tempted to fill this gap. Very gappy now. So, yeah, it could be tempted to fill that, especially if the market just pulls back in general. Wouldn't be surprised at some point in the near future if it did that. Forecasted data, 21, 22% here, respectively. Rising earnings per share. Yeah. See, it's trying to catch this here. So if it breaks this, if we to close much below the 748 level, I would be getting defensive on Meta. The stock jumped up from 700 to almost $800 just from earnings. Now it's at 750. It's up $50 in 2 days. I am of the mindset this is the level you need to look at here, 748. If it breaks below it, just ask yourself if, do you want to take some profits while this fills the gap? VRT, Vertiv Holdings, look, a gap down. It's still well above the 20-day EMA. We've got a little buffer zone there. But look at the last 3 days. The closes are lower than the opens, these two. Today, well, it's different. We'll see how it closes out. But I see some weakness there at these highs. The company's just overvalued. We had a great valuation opportunities back here. Growth rate earnings is dropping. Sales growth rate's rising. Does outpace earnings, so that's good. Rising earnings per share. I still like it. And if it does come back to this 20-day EMA, it might present another buying opportunity here. Hey, Ryan, what's the philosophy behind filling the gap? Roxar, I'm not, that has just been a thing. That's not necessarily me. But, yeah, when there's big gaps in stocks, typically they like to fill a gap. I don't really know why traders or markets push stocks to fill gaps. Because I've seen, and I even call it like gap confirmation. Like if a stock goes down, it might want to fill that gap before continuing to go down. So there's different ways to do it. Maybe that should be a good video. Maybe we just do a video on gap fills and things of that nature. Sold Meta on bounce. Where to buy back? Meta? It's trending down right now. I'd wait for the market. If you already sold Meta on the bounce, I wouldn't be in a rush to it. Yeah, I'd wait till next week. I wouldn't be in a rush to buy back in. If the MTI drops a bunch and the market pulls back, maybe. This might be a good level here in a severe pullback situation. Maybe 663, 679. But right now we're just, potentially filling this gap here. And we got gaps all over the place. All over the place here. What's going on, Vic? Hope you are doing well today. All right, VRT, I talked about this. Still got a buffer zone above the 20-day EMA. Not too concerned about it right now. If it does pull back much further, I'm probably going to look somewhere around this 130 to 133 level. Somewhere in there for support. And that's actually right where the 20-day EMA is. So that might be a good trade setup if it comes to fruition. Again, we'll see what the market brings Monday. Either people are going to continue to buy the gap, and we're just going to rip back up to new highs, or could have more of an awakening. We'll see. This year, UAMY broke above the trend line. Big upper wick. Big down day to day. As far as an investment perspective, I mean, value, lower left, upper right, price action, lower left, upper right. See, all the forecasted data is on the right. It still looks good from an investment perspective. As far as a trade right now, I wouldn't recommend getting any kind of trade in it, especially with the Chinese trade deal. And I think, yeah, Michael, I would say patience is key there. Again, because if we're taking profits, the whole idea is take profits when the MTI is high, right? So then you got to have the patience to wait for when the MTI is low, right? I mean, it happens a couple times a year, inevitably. Yeah, I don't know if the MTI is going to get down to 0.6 in a week, or it could be a month or two, right? But right now, we are on the downtrend, right? So, yes, Michael, patience is the key. Remember what Warren Buffett said? The stock market is all about taking money from the impatient and giving it to the patient. Does that make sense? Taking money from the impatient and giving it to the patient, right? So, but if anything from UAMY, if trade does show up here, I'm a little bit more bearish right now just because we're getting closer to a China deal. I think that'll create more, better investment opportunities in the future. But any dip on UAMY, I'm still think that's not a horrible idea. I mean, look at the valuation, just rocking and rolling here. Never heard that quote. Awesome. Yeah, Michael, I thought that was a good one. That was a couple years ago I heard that. Micron, I've talked about this. This is my level here. You see the trend line, rejection, broke the 20-day EMA, broke my level support. No. And that would have been around 117 to 114. Now it's at 104. So I've been bearish on it. I've been saying this on Micron for, about the past week or two here. Still a great company. I mean, look, forecasted data is good. Rising earnings. Still got my favorite chart pattern here. So if you were trading Micron, yeah, I would have taken profits already. If I was an investor in Micron, maybe shaved a couple profits. Save those bucks, for better buying opportunities in the future on Micron. But overall, as far as investment, I still like Micron. Here's Applied Digital. Look at that bottom wick, right? The 8-day. That's showing me some indecision there. I have a 15% trailing stop on my stocks. Hey, as long as you're comfortable with it, and 15% for most stocks, that's kind of about what I do. If I have a stop in there. But I look at the market I'm here on my computer every day. My work is looking at the market. So, again, I don't necessarily... I have some stops, but just because this is my job, I have the advantage of seeing it. So I know what the stocks are doing, right? It's not going to get, I'm not going to lose control of a stock. But yeah, typically I like trailing stops, and usually it's between 10 and 20% depending on the stock. Not saying that's for everyone, not saying that's the best stop out there, but that's typically what I'm comfortable with if I'm looking for a generic stop, something to use for my brokerage in case I'm not looking at my stocks. But as far as this one, I mean, it's way overvalued. Forecasted data, I'm going to say poopy. That one's for Glenn. Falling everything, sales growth rate, earnings growth rate. Well, I guess the growth rate did come back here, but still -% when it came back. So no, I'm going to treat it like a trade. And right now, yeah, I don't really like this trade setup. There's not much indecision. If you're in it, I want the price to stay above 12.14, and we're pretty close to that right now. If you want to give a little bit more leeway, maybe $12. But if it drops much below that, I'm going to be out because there's a gap here, right? I'd rather, I don't want the bears to get tempted to fill that gap. I want to go up here, and what I'd like to see happen is if I use a freehand line, I'd like to see this sucker go parabolic and shoot up and hit this thing one more time and then call it a day. Take my profit and go enjoy some life. So that's kind of what my thoughts are on Applied Digital. Here's SMCY. I mean, these yield maxes, they are rough here. Look at this. It was round. That's what I'm saying. You gotta see if the dividend's worth it for you. I'm not the master on yield maxes. I don't pretend to be. I don't really buy them a whole lot. I do see the advantage of them, and honestly, I like yield maxes. When the MTI is low, because these are very volatile. We go out to a year here. I don't think it has that much, but this stock was $60, the yield max. Now it's down at 20. So you've lost 2/3 of your investment. So unless the dividend would have recovered 2/3 of your investment, no, I don't think this yield max is a good idea. But that's just, me personally here. I'm not trying to put anybody down by any means. I don't like the yield maxes. I'd rather just buy a good quality tech company, as most of these yield maxes are, and just sell calls against it, or some kind of condor, maybe a spread. I do get these save the work for you, but right now, all the moving averages are negative. No, and it's semiconductor, and we've seen Taiwan Semi broke its channel. With the Van Eck broke the 20-day EMA, so not a little worried on the semis right now. SMCI, here we go. Look at SMCI, it's at 56. The high was a high 72. So 72 to 56. When the yield max went from $60 to $20. You got to ask yourself, I don't know. You got to look at the dividend and do the math, but that math ain't mathing in my opinion. That got to be a crucial dividend paid to me to want to hold that. I'm just going to say it like that. And thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. I didn't think I would be filling Glenn's shoes so soon. But I will say, between him and the rest of the guys on the education team, I've had some great mentors, and I think it was just an easy adjustment since I've had some years, under their belt with their guidance. So hopefully, I can just take what I've learned, from all the greats, Dr. Alito, Dr. David Paul, Steve Chappell, Ron Wheeler, Jim Penna, all the guys and gals. But and just give you the best information I can, just looking at the chart, right? I'm trying not to panic and have some patience. Yeah, don't. Poopy equals short. Michael, poopy. I'm not gonna say it doesn't equal short. Right? All right. Here's Toast. Lower left, upper right. It is overvalued right now. Toast. I will say this, just because I've worked in restaurants quite a bit. These guys got like a monopoly on the POS system. About every restaurant I see these days, they've got it. Got a great business model. You can see the growth rate earnings, 42%, 24% right now. Company's trading at a premium. It looks like it's always trade. Look at this. See how overvalued it is in the beginning? So I'm saying, don't ignore this VectorVest 7 system, but they've kind of met somewhere in the middle here. But now it's just diverging away from our valuation. I do like the values on the rise. Now, if value is still flat, I'd definitely be concerned. I still like the company overall. Just, it is, you're willing to pay premium for it. 20-day EMA doesn't work quite as good on the stock. Maybe use like a 40-day, right? Maybe more of an investment perspective. But if you're worried about taking profits here, or, me, I'd probably be looking right in here. Because we got the breakout. Let me zoom in here real quick. Breakout, right? New high. Now we're retesting, right? We're going to figure out if this is a good retest or if this was just a break all in general. Bill, no, Glenn did not retire. Oh, man, I hate saying this over and over. Glenn had a stroke in June. He is in recovery. He's doing good. He's just gaining his strength. I don't have an update when he's going to be back. He's out for medical reasons and rehabilitation. Bill, definitely send him a prayer if you can. We did start the GoFundMe account with his wife, Janet. In conjunction with her, just go to VectorVest.com/Glenn. Again, VectorVest.com/Glenn. We just had a huge amount of people, want to, help, financially. And then, was it last Monday? We were talking about it in the comment section, starting a GoFundMe account for him. So we did. But yeah, he did not retire. And I really hope he does come back, Bill. I don't know. I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he's not. We don't know. So it is that. All I know, last time I talked to him, he's doing good. His wife seemed pretty positive about the situation. So I got to work tonight. Maybe I'll call him tomorrow. I need to go visit him again soon. It's just been a busy, hectic week. All right. But yeah, as far as Toast, I like it. This could be a good buying opportunity. But I want to see a pivot off this 45 level, okay? I want to see a pivot here. Right now, I'm not seeing much of a pivot. I'm not seeing much of a bottom wick. But if we do get a bottom wick or maybe some confirmation, take out today's high come Monday, could be another run, right? Otherwise, if we get, confirmation to the downside Monday, I'd be getting a little bit more defensive on toast. Again, especially as a swing trader. And if you're more of an investor, obviously give yourself a little more wiggle room, just depending on what your goals are. Here's AS. This is that American semiconductor. This thing. Whew. Oh yeah, from less than $20, close to 60 here. This might give a pennant as well. Like maybe a little flag. We'll see what happens there. As long as price action stays above the 8, I'm happy, because that 40 is way down there. What was it, 40 at $43? It's at 53 right now. That's almost 20%. I don't want to give up 20%. I'd do the 8, because we see the 8 was a nice touch here. Yeah, I'd do the 8. Forecasted data, growth rate, 38, sales, 80%. Whew, nice, very nice. All right, we got MSTR. There's another yield. I mean, look at that. Bitcoin, went from 122, I think it was at 116 now, barely any downside action. And then MSTR just fell apart. Went from $26 to 18. Just be careful with these yield maxes. That's all I'm going to say. If we look over here, it's still down overall. If you would have got in initially, your investment was about $30 maybe. Now it's down to 18. It's cut in half. So unless these dividends have made up, your initial investment being cut in half, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. That's just me talking. So again, you got to look at the dividend information. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying you just got to look at that dividend information, right? Brian says, stay away from Crazy Jerry. Crazy Jerry. Brian, I'm going to tell him that. No. Brian, Jerry is actually one of the first courses I took. What was that? The Trade Like a Pros, where it has I think it was like 4 or 5 different professional traders. He actually showed you how to utilize their trading systems. That opened up my eyes to technical analysis. That was a good one. So if you're kind of new to technical analysis, you don't really know about RSIs or trend lines, or just essentially trading like a pro from a technical standpoint. I know it's more pricey. That course is one of our pricier ones, but it's probably one of the best, most informative courses as well. All right, Amazon, look at this. Value on the rise. Yeah, you're paying a premium, but hey, might have some value shopping. My mom's still in it. I'm not too worried about it for, if I really want to find some support, I need to see price action, at least stay above this 206 here. I'm going to treat it like a zone, and we're in the zone right now. 206 to about 215. We're in it right now at 214. If it drops much below this, I'll have to talk to my mom and see. But again, she's more of an investor, so I might have her shave some profits. But as far as closing the position, and I got her in. I mean, she's in at like 115, so she's up quite a bit on Amazon. Growth rate and earnings, 26%. Sales growth rate. So the forecasted data is on the decline as far as the earnings growth and the sales growth, but the earnings per share is rising here. So I do like that. Yeah, it's in this little zone here. I mean, yeah, if you didn't sell it yesterday, I wouldn't be in a rush today. And again, just like with AMD, just like NVIDIA, I don't have a crystal ball. No one does. You got to ask yourself, is this okay? Because if this kind of move is not okay, and you're holding, stocks going into earnings, that should tell you one thing. And I know to the adverse effect, it can also go up and help you too. But a lot of people just don't like that type of volatility. And hey, that's totally cool. So, but as far as entry prices, I'm not going to say jump into it right now. Where's, the little buy thing? There we go. Recommendation log. Doesn't have a sell on it. What is our stop on here? That's a good question. And then we're going to wrap up. I think I got like 2 more stocks. We got to wrap up here. The stop went down. Okay, so the stop is actually right below my zone. You can see that here. So yeah, if it does cross below this 206, Amazon would be getting really close to a sell recommendation here. So again, that's going to be kind of my cutoff level. If we find a nice pivot here, if you see a nice bottom wick, maybe make its way back above this 215 level, maybe that's a dip on Amazon worth getting into. But it's hard to buy dips with the MTI so well, not so high now. Yeah, the MTI, it still could go down to 0.6. So again, I'm not in a rush to buy the dip today on Amazon. That's for sure. Here's coin. Again, another gap down on coin. Right at this little zone I had here. What the first line was at 312. You can see the touch from the bottom. A little touch from the top there. If I zone out, what's the other one? Oh, from here, touch, and then got some consolidation. You have some touches here. Yeah, so this is my first level here, 312. If it breaks it, yeah, I'm going to be concerned, but definitely by 270. And I don't know where you bought this, but the stock was at 150 and went up to 450. So what? It's a lot of bags, right, in a very short time. So again, don't be too greedy. And the stocks, we only got the value at 135 on this position right now. If we look at sales growth rate, negative 13. Yeah, we see it catch here, failed. Yeah, no, I'd get more defensive on coin if I'm looking for buying opportunities potentially here. Yeah, I'd have to see more of a pivot there. Glenn likes the sales growth rate to be greater than GRT. I think when looking at a stock, he definitely does, Bruce, and I definitely agree. You want sales growth rate to outpace earnings growth rate, right? Because if earnings isn't growing and outpacing earnings, right, it just means, if sales is not outpacing earnings, that means you just have to become more efficient, right? And a company can only become so efficient, right? So, they got to sell more to earn more, right? So, yeah, that's why typically, it is ideal to see sales growth rate higher than earnings growth rate. Yes, that is definitely ideal. Definitely ideal. All right, everybody. Oh, Rod says great course. So, Rod, you took the course too? Yeah, it's actually been a couple years since I've taken that course. I might have to brush up on it again because I remember the RSI 2 strategy. That was a good one. That had my attention. All right, everybody. It is Friday. Yeah, 3:07. I just want you guys to enjoy your weekend. Check out tonight's video. We go over a couple different things. Again, we got market timing. There's some good things on the VectorVest composite I see in the chart there as far as level support. We'll see if it comes to fruition. Now, we do got some contra ETFs in tonight's video, and I do talk about AMD and in particular 2-day trades as well. I do take a look at the chart of AMD today as well. So there's a lot of good things. It's not that long of a video. I think maybe like 10 minutes. All righty. On that note, I just want to say everybody have a good weekend. Again, if you did not get the memo, if you're just checking in, we did start the GoFundMe account in conjunction with Glenn's family. Just go to VectorVest.com/Glenn. If you can't contribute, if you're not in a position to contribute, hey, that's fine. We're all in different places of our lives. Just send, a prayer, send some well wishes because Glenn is a believer in the power of prayer. All right. On that note, I'm out of here. You guys, I will see you on Monday. Take care. Bye.